Hi, my name is Oscar and I'm a scientist. And today I'm very happy to share the conversation I had with Eric. He completed his EB2 NIW green card process from abroad, so he'll tell us everything about his I-140 approval, but also what happened at the interview in a US embassy. Let's take a look. If you also have a story to share with this audience, please write an email to Oscar at eb2niw.info and let's get in touch. And like other interviews, this will be a two-part video, so stay tuned for the second part where we will dive deep into the embassy interview. Eric, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation today.
Thank you so much, Oscar.
Yeah, and by the way, congratulations, because you just told me that you received not only an I-140 approval, but you have completed your whole green card process. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So you are applying from abroad, which is very nice because we're going to see not only the whole picture, but the whole picture from somebody that applies not within the US. But before we get to that part, which I think should be the major part of our conversation because it's the novel thing that we are bringing today, but let's talk a little bit about you, a brief introduction about your profile. How did your I-140 case look like?
My name is Eric Okonkwo. I'm Nigerian. I did my postgraduate studies in Cyprus, and I currently live and work in Qatar. And in 2021, I think fourth quarter, I was thinking about applying for the NIW. A friend of mine spoke to me about it. So I decided, because I was a frequent traveler to the US, I wanted to first renew my visa, my B1, B2 visa before applying, just not to have anything in between. And since I had a job here, I didn't want to apply through the adjustment of status process because I have to be in the US and wait there, or file concurrently. I had to honor my contract on this side. So I traveled there in December of 2021, talking to lawyers here and there, trying to understand who best could help me, how to get as much information as I could get. I was paying like $200 for every consultation, everybody I speak to. So at the end of the day, I made up my mind to start the process in 2022. So first of all, I've been doing research in energy systems since 2015. So I'm an energy systems expert or engineer or researcher.
Okay.
So I've got a couple of publications in that area, and
energy is quite... Any specific area inside energy?
Yeah, it's quite broad because I was looking at renewable energy systems. I initially started from solar energy, both photovoltaic systems and concentrator systems, then gradually moved into alternative fuels like hydrogen and just combustion fuels that we use to run the engines without the hydrocarbons.
That's how you also frame it in terms of national importance, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because energy is quite a big issue. And when I was filing my petition, that was the ground I used as my strong area, and highlighting the climate issue around the world, highlighting the energy infrastructure challenges in the US, trying to increase the share of renewable energy in the grid, trying to highlight the climate challenges, the importance of increasing renewable energy in the grid, challenges of renewable energy, integrating them with the conventional systems we use, and how my research work over the past couple of years has some substantial merit into solving some of those problems.
Yeah. And do you work in the private sector or in academia?
I work in academia currently, but strictly in research. But I'm thinking of transitioning also. So I really, and that's the beautiful thing about the US, because you have a lot of opportunities both in the public, in the private, in the industry to do a lot of things. Yeah.
In the US, like you can still do research if you like that, and there's more private sector opportunities even for research. I mean, I'm an example of that. I started doing research in academia, and then I moved to a biotech startup in Massachusetts. So, and I continue being a scientist. Just it's a different world altogether.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to that, and I really want to explore those opportunities.
I think we get a pretty decent picture of the national importance that your endeavor has, and how you you probably had a lot of examples in presidential speeches, laws, and etc., talking about
Yeah,
climate change,
I
energy.
had I had loads and loads of data on that. I had information from the U.S. Department of Energy.
Yeah,
I got information from the UN. There
yeah.
was no lack of information on that.
It's a very good topic, to be honest, for a
Yeah,
national
exactly.
interest waiver application.
Yeah.
And so beyond that, how did you establish that you were a person that is well positioned to accomplish what you wanted to accomplish in the US?
Okay, that was quite easy for me because I already had a large body of work already out there. I've been to a number of conferences. I serve as reviewers for a number of energy journals. I
That's
had
good.
quite a number of publications, understand,
Hmm.
and a high number of citations also for
Yeah.
the national interest waiver. So putting those together, putting the experience, getting letters of recommendation. I learned that from one of your videos also, the letter of recommendation, yeah, because that was
Hmm.
important.
Yeah.
Getting
Did you
that
have
from
any independent letter also?
I had one. I reached out to a couple of them, but I only got one.
And you said you use lawyers, right, to help you with
Yeah,
the petition?
initially I said with a lawyer, but along the way, immediately after filing the petition, I was solo. Yeah,
Oh
so
wow.
at the initial stage, because I didn't have a lot of information, I had to
Hmm.
rely. I needed some expert guidance, and so I spoke to a lawyer, paid him some money. We started the
Okay, so
filing, but
so
immediately
so
we
you did
filed.
like
Yeah, immediately we filed.
consultations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
consultations exactly. Immediately we
Yeah.
filed, we were done.
Oh,
So after
nice.
that, it was just me and a lot of videos and reading online and everything.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. I mean, another unique thing about you. You kind of like went the lawyer way partially, but then you are a do-it-yourself applicant, really. So.
Yes, because at first I didn't know there was a lot of content on this online, so
Hmm.
I needed as much knowledge as I could get. Then as
Hmm.
soon as I started getting the information, I needed the lawyers to explain to me exactly how it worked,
Hmm.
understand the merits of the cases, because I knew that you needed some form of employment. So
Yeah.
hearing about the EB2 NIW, hearing about the EB1 B, I think, was kind
Yeah.
of new for me. So I needed to know the details, what they were looking out for, and things like that. So it was very helpful. Then I started getting contents from you also, because I remember I filed a petition because I
Hmm.
schooled abroad, and I did not put a degree equivalency
Okay.
initially in my initial petition. So because
Yeah.
I had a friend that filed like 8 months before me. So his case, he got an RFE, a request for evidence,
Hmm.
and that was one of the things they asked him. So I just filed like I remember I submitted my application in March of 2022, early March.
Hmm.
Understand? So he got an RFE in February, and I was like, oh, so what's happened? And he told me that he had to get a US equivalency, and I didn't do that. So I was
Okay.
trying to avoid an RFE. I immediately started doing that. I finished that up and sent it to the USCIS.
So
But
you
it was
learned from his mistake,
yeah, I was
basically.
learning from everybody. I was learning from because I got that from you also, that you have to do that also.
Hmm.
So I had to
Yeah.
put that in and just sent it again, and luckily it worked without. I got an
Yeah.
approval without a request for evidence.
So please allow me a 10-second break, well, maybe 30-second, to show you a little bit about my website, eb2niw.info, where you can find a lot of information about this green card category in which you can self-petition. You can download my I-140 petition so you can see a real case, but recently I started my EB2NIW course, which include my own petition, my adjustment of status package, my ebook, and a series of video lectures where I will go step by step showing you what is a cover letter, recommendation letters, and in summary, everything you need to know about this process. So if you are serious about it, check it out. And now let's go back to the video. Awesome. Yeah. So let's fast forward from March to July. I believe is when you told me you got your I-140 approval, if I'm not mistaken. Right.
Yes, that was quite surprising for me because right now it's normal for them to approve in 3 months, 4 months. But
Hmm.
back then I didn't know because my friend submitted in June of 2021. That was his
Hmm.
priority date, and he got a request for evidence in February. So I was thinking of something like November, December,
Yeah.
and
So
so in
you
July.
were not expecting it at all.
Exactly. I was even contemplating premium processing because
Yeah.
they had just opened it and we're
Hmm.
going date by date. So I was hoping that probably I could fast track the whole process when it gets to my priority date. Then
Yeah.
suddenly in July, a couple of days before my birthday, I got the message and I was like, the best gift ever.
Nice.
So yeah,
Well,
so
my birthday is in July also, so
that's cool.
so so it's July 2022, and you get that letter. I'm sure you were extremely happy.
Yeah.
Um, then we start a second part of the process that is kind of like a mystery to a lot of people. Like, what happens when you get an I-140 approved and you are not in the US? You're not going to adjust your status. Like, can you tell me what was the next step?
I can talk about this part with so much passion for a reason, because okay, so the guy I was talking to, the friend of mine, still in Cyprus, that he filed about 8 months before me,
Hmm.
and he got his approval in May. So he had another friend in South Korea that also filed in 2020, right?
Hmm.
That got his approval also, and that guy had been waiting for over a year to get a letter from the National Visa Center. Because when
Hmm.
you file in your I-140, you have to indicate which processing you want to use, whether it's the adjustments of status or you want to go through the National Visa Center. Then you
Hmm.
indicate the consular office you're going to use.
Yeah.
So we had like three guys now. We had a guy in Korea,
Yeah.
we had
Yeah.
another guy in Cyprus, and we had
Cyprus.
me in Qatar.
Yeah.
So
And
the
by the
guy
way,
in
in your I-140, you indicated Qatar
yeah,
as your
yeah,
country where you would
exactly.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's different from your chargeability, I think your nationality, but just where you want to
Yeah.
do the
Yeah.
whole thing.
For embassy or consulate, you can select wherever
Yeah,
you are. Even if you
yeah,
are not in that country, you can
yeah.
select a different country as well. Yeah.
And that's also some good advice for those that want to fast track.
Hmm.
I'll get there actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So when the approval comes, now there's a slight challenge we observed. Because the I-140 NIW application is paper-based, it takes the
Hmm.
USCIS, and it's quite bulky because we are filing 300 pages, 400 pages. It's quite
Yeah.
bulky, and it takes the USCIS some time to um, document those things and send them to the National Visa Center. So we had the guy in Korea waited over a year from approval, waiting for the NVC to send him a welcome letter, and he didn't get it. He had to contact his lawyer. Let's say November, he got it after a lot
Hmm.
of back and forth with the lawyers, and he had to pay extra money. So my friend had already been waiting. He got approved like just 2 months before me. So he'd been
Hmm.
waiting 120 days already.
Wow.
Understand? And I was already getting agitated. I was like, I just got this approval. I don't want to spend another 5, 6 months waiting for a letter.
Yeah.
So the initial approval notice comes with a notice saying you should receive a mail from the NVC in
Hmm.
30 days.
Yeah.
So 30 days come, I don't get no mail. So I pick up the phone, I call the
Hmm.
USCIS
Yeah.
office. I'm like, okay, you said 30 days. What's going on? So she said, the lady that picked up on the other side, very nice, said, okay, you have to wait 60 days minimum. Understand?
Okay.
But usually you don't call after you waited 90 days.
Yeah.
So, but luckily for me, I had a friend that was already on 120 days and he still hadn't received the letter.
Hmm.
So I waited 30 days gone, 40 days gone. Then I came across a video on YouTube because I was following a lot of
Yeah.
immigration attorneys online, following a lot of immigration. I was listening to everything, reading everything I could read online
Mhm.
because at this point I didn't have a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
So I needed
Yeah.
to know as much as I could know. So I came across a video from a US-based attorney in immigration attorney, and he was talking
Hmm.
about the USCIS Ombudsman Office and the
Mm.
cases they kind of help you with.
Yeah.
Understand? So he made mention of a particular form 7001 that
Hmm.
the ombudsman uses to talk to the USCIS on behalf of certain clients they have that are not happy. So he said for those people, and he mentioned this exact case, for those people that have an approval from the USCIS and there's a delay from the NVC, he told us that that's a normal thing that happens. And
Hmm.
it's not normal to wait 5 months, 6 months. And from experience. I already had a guy that waited 10 months, another guy's already waiting 4 months, and I'm here already going into my second month. So I saw the video, and he said, contact me if you're interested in us helping you with this system. So I was done paying lawyers. So I went online, looked for the ombudsman office, and got the link to the particular form he was making mention of, DHS 7001, I think. So I saw the form, I filled the form online, submitted it, just because you do everything on the system. And in 2 days, I got a feedback from the ombudsman office. And in 7 days, I got the letter from the MVC. No. It welcomed me saying they had, no, there are two different things. It told me they had received my case, right? So usually when the USCIS, you know, when you check your case status,
sends them your approval, and then they notify that.
On the case status, it says your case has been approved. Now, when they send it, it's based on the USCIS website, your case has been sent. So that's the second part of it. Yeah. So I got that notification on the case status on the USCIS website in September. So then I knew it had gone to the NVC. And from some other videos I watched, it says it takes about a week or 2 weeks for the NVC to receive it. Then they start treating your cases based on their time frame, because they have time for case creation, case processing, and whatever. So once the USCIS has sent the case, immediately I did that from 7001. 1 week later, I got the message from USCIS that your case had been forwarded. So the ombudsman office actually worked. So I tell my friend, okay, I did this and it worked. You want to try it? So I give him the link, tries it, and in 4 days, he gets the same message.
Okay, so, that's a very good tip then for people watching.
Some people wait 6 months, 8 months, and they're just waiting, not knowing that it's actually a problem. You get the point. So you should look into that if you are at that point, because once you get approved, you're at the highest level of excitement, then suddenly you stay 4 months still waiting, and you don't know why you're waiting.
Nothing happens.
Exactly. And when you're abroad, it's more difficult because you can't just walk up to a USCIS office and say what's going on with my case and things like that. So that's very important.
November, I think, is when you receive the welcome letter, right, from them.
They send me the letter, and when they send the letter, because I'm single, so I'm not applying with a family or friends. So they send the letter, and I received the case number and the invoice ID and some other information and instruction on how to go about the whole process. So I go online. There's a link there that takes you to the DS260 form. You go online, you fill the form. And for those that have family, you have individual links for each and every one person. But you have to make the payment first, I think. You have to make the payment first to access the form. So, and somebody in the US had to pay for you. So luckily for me, I had a friend in the US. So I called him up. I'm like, I need a favor. Can you pay, I think, $340 US, $45 US. Then
so he didn't let you pay online on that portal.
No, you can't pay with credit card. You can't pay with anything. You have to pay with I think it's cashier's check.
I hope they improve that part, because it's a portal. They could make it possible.
By the third working day, by Wednesday, because we paid on a Saturday, and by Wednesday, I checked and I could proceed to the DS260 to fill the form. And it's quite an extensively long form.
It's a long form.
But I was enthusiastic and excited, so I filled it.
Those forms drain the soul out of you, and there's so many questions, and some of them are a bit absurd.
Yeah, they want to know everything. They want to know all the address you've lived in since you were 16, and I've lived in a couple of countries. So you imagine I had to look for my home country when I was in Europe, when I'm now in the Middle East. I had to put a lot of information together. And I finished that and submitted the form. Now, this is another part that's quite tricky, because after submitting the form, you have to upload your
civil document.
Your civil documents, exactly. Now, there's a trick there, because for the family-based petition, which there's a lot of information on, there's another portal where you just go click and upload those documents. But for the NIW, it does not exist.
Okay.
So I initially thought the information in the letter said you could if you're doing a electronic-based petition, you could send us an email with the civil documents, or if you use a paper-based petition, you have to mail your civil documents. Yeah. So initially I sent an email. But then I sent the email and said, if you use the wrong process, you might not get a response. So I sent an email. Then a couple of days after sending the email, I decided to write the NVC on the NVC inquiry portal in the SIAC. And I wrote them saying, okay, this is my case number. How do I submit my civil documents? And immediately, 2 days later, the person replies, your case is not a computer-based case, it's a paper-based case. So you have to mail your documents. So I already waited like a week after sending emails. And I was like really, really upset and saying, why didn't you just tell me earlier? So there's another confusion again. Now there are 2 mailing addresses there. There's one in New Hampshire, and I think there's one in Virginia. So I didn't know the exact one to mail to. So I mailed to the 2 of them.
So they didn't tell you clearly which one you had to?
It's tricky because in the welcome letter gives you a link, and in the link it gives you an address in Virginia. But after filling the DS-260 form, you see another address in New Hampshire. I think Prospect, New Hampshire. So I didn't know who to ask, and I did and if you ask the NVC, it takes like a couple of days, and I was already hyperactive.
You just sent to both.
I just went to the DHL. I had discounts. I was like, it doesn't cost me a lot. It cost me like $20 each. I sent to the 2 of them. Then that was by the second week of November. And by December, I got a message, first week of December, that my case was documentary qualified. And I'm now waiting for an interview date based on availability and on the queue also.
And next week, Eric will tell us all about his interview at the US Embassy. Stay tuned for the next video of this series.